Okay, John chapter 5. Now this is where we're going to see another miracle of Jesus, but we see that it actually sets up a confrontation between Jesus and the religious Jewish leaders of the day. Okay, so Jesus returns to Jerusalem in verse 1 for one of the Jewish holy days, and once he was inside the city, there was a pool there, and verse 3 says crowds of sick people lay on the porches. Now you can read this story of how he heals this guy that couldn't get into the pool quick enough. But he heals in verse 9. He rolled up his sleeping mat, began walking. But here's a problem. This miracle happened on the Sabbath, so the Jewish leaders objected. Can you believe that? They objected to a miracle because of their rules. They said to the man who was cured, "You can't work on the Sabbath. The law doesn't allow you to carry that sleeping mat." Okay? So we see here the difference between Jesus' purpose and the purpose of religious leaders. We saw this already in previous chapters in John. Jesus came to bring life and joy and abundance and satisfaction, and these religious leaders were just all caught up in the rules, and it's pretty obvious to us that they're the ones in the wrong. Okay, so look at what happens. It says in verse 16, the Jewish leaders began harassing Jesus for breaking the rules. And so then Jesus, here we go, Jesus is going to lecture them again. And you can read this on your own. But there's a lot of great stuff that he teaches them. So he was teaching Nicodemus in chapter 3, and he taught the Samaritan woman in the last chapter, and now he's teaching the religious leaders. This carpenter is teaching them about who God really is. He says in verse 24, "I tell you the truth, those who listen to my message and believe in God who sent me have eternal life. They will never be condemned for their sins, but they have already passed from death to life." Echoes of his message in John chapter 1 about him bringing life and bringing light to the whole world. Again, a lot more that he teaches. He says, I have a greater witness than John the Baptist. Now he's referring to John the Baptist, how he's been a witness to him. He says, the greater witnesses are my teachings and my miracles. Right? So that's the reason he's doing these miracles and giving all these teachings. He said, the Father gave me these works to accomplish, and they prove that he sent me. They're proof that he is indeed the Messiah that they were waiting for. John the Baptist isn't, but Jesus is. He says in verse 39, still talking to these Pharisees or these spiritual leaders, you search the scriptures because you think they give you eternal life, but the scriptures point to me, yet you refuse to come to me to receive this life. So this is just, again, back to the idea that the whole Bible is ultimately about Jesus. It's all pointing to Jesus. Old Testament, New Testament, everything points to Jesus. Verse 46, if you really believed Moses, you would believe me because he wrote about me. But since you don't believe what he wrote, how will you believe what I say? And so that's Jesus teaching the leaders after his miracle at the pool where he healed the blind man. So go ahead and do your readings, and encourage you to really dig into this and see how Jesus' teaching apply to your life also.